Welcome to day 23 of my 100-day trip around Australia. Today I'm in Rockhampton, the nearest major town I could find, trying to resolve some issues that have been getting worse with my car. Good morning, people. We're up and at 'em nice and early today. It's currently about 7. The mechanic's at 8. I was hoping to do some shopping before then, but the shops don't open until 8. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't have had time anyway, so that's alright. I'm just on a walk around the park to kind of burn a little bit of time, and then mechanic, maybe something else in the morning, depending on how early the mechanic finishes, and then maybe a long drive, maybe chill somewhere for today. I have no clue at all. We'll have to see how the morning goes, I guess. Just down there is where I did my nearly backflip yesterday. I think even nearly backflip's actually a bit too kind, to be honest. We'll just say my glorified jump. Also, while I'm here, this place has a super nice park. I was here yesterday, but it was full of kids, and I was like, ugh, a little bit creepy. So yeah, maybe I'll show you it if it's empty now. Hopefully it is. It's only 7 o'clock. Alright, off to the mechanic. I spent a little bit longer than I intended kind of mucking about in the park, so I am going to be a little bit later than I wanted, but at least I'm going to still be there before he starts, so it should be fine. A little wrinkle, it's starting to look like the best case is that I'm stuck here for a long time and it's going to be an expensive repair, and the worst case is that the car's done. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. So the issue from the other day was that the reservoir was overfilling and bubbling and drawing too much from the radiator, and presumably the radiator wasn't taking any back. So I refilled the radiator and reduced the level in the reservoir, and it seemed to be working fine. But I took it to the mechanic just to check, and there was a leak at the bottom of here just spraying into there. So we fixed up the leak, filled up the coolant, put it all back together, put it mostly together, and then tried burping/bleeding the system. I think that's what it's called. But it was just bubbling non-stop for 30 minutes. So now the likely cause, unfortunately, is an issue with the head, which is kind of major drama. The only thing that's making me semi-confident is that when the radiator got replaced earlier this year, it was done by Toyota, and they looked over the whole system and they said that everything was fine. But when the engine itself was on, the pipes were all getting warm, the top of the radiator was warm, the underneath of the radiator warm, the heating hoses, which are high up on this engine, the last ones like that, were warm. That's the kind of spot where you think an air bubble might be, but because it was bubbling for so long, it's unlikely that it was just an air bubble up there. But yeah, it was all warm, the heating inside was warm, so that's not the best sign in the world. I literally haven't even had time to read a book pretty much this entire trip, and now I have time to read a book, so small miracles, I guess. Good news, I have time to try and learn to solve the Rubik's Cube in under a minute. I'm not going to stop until I get it, so let's get started. I've got the timer here on this fancy looking app, and yeah, it starts as soon as I start solving the cube, so let's go. I think I'm getting worse and worse. I need a break. I'll go do something else. Maybe go for a walk. Okay, the wrinkle has wrinkled a little bit more. The second guy that I went to didn't actually do any more tests than the first guy, but he has recommended replacing the motor. He thinks it's an issue with the gasket, the head gasket, or the head, or something like that. But if you try to fix that, you run the risk of paying for it to get sent off and looked at and then replaced, and that wasn't actually the issue, and then you're just screwed. So you're probably better off replacing the whole motor. But that then means that in order to warranty that, you have to also replace the timing belt and a bunch of other stuff. And the timing belt's just been replaced, which is a bit annoying. But, well, the whole thing's a little bit annoying, but I don't know. I don't know what the best case is right now. I'm kind of playing with money that I don't really have. Even if I can afford to fix it, it's like a 3-week delay. And I have to source the motor from somewhere, which will probably be Sydney, ironically, which is basically where I started. So right now I'm going to ignore the problem and go food shopping, wait for a call from the original guy that I saw, and then contemplate what's going to happen for the remainder of these 70 something days. I haven't even made it a quarter of the way yet. We'll see. Alright, I'm back at the campsite and I've done some research, and I think there are kind of two extra alternatives that I hadn't really thought about. The first one is getting someone like the first guy that I saw today to just take the head apart and look at that and see if they can identify the crack, because the engine of this car, so I'm told, is actually not that complex, so it's relatively easy to kind of take apart and kind of diagnose where the issue is. The second alternative is that I actually do that myself. I watched a video, and this is probably the start of me just taking myself down a terrible rabbit hole, but I watched a video of a guy taking it apart, and he did the whole thing in like 15-20 minutes, and he explained the entire way through, like each bolt and whatever, and it seemed not too complex. So that's a plausible option. I'm just waiting on the reply of the first guy that I saw today, because he was super nice. His name's Simon. He runs his own business out here. See what he thinks. But yeah, I essentially cannot drive the car in the state that it is now, so it needs to get repaired one way or the other. There is a world where I just get it towed back home and either fix it there or backpack the rest of the trip. I feel like I should be more upset that it's not working, and I feel like I'm gonna be replaying that clip of me saying that nothing will go wrong, but I'm just not at a point where I'm like, oh wow, everything's going wrong. Like this is a wrinkle, there's no doubt, but I just can't tell what's gonna happen next, so I'm not too stressed until I kind of get everything in place and figure it out. The worst case is the trip ends here, I guess, and it's like, well, I got to spend 25 days doing whatever the hell I wanted. That's still a win, but yeah, we'll see what comes next, I guess. I'm just going to chill here for a bit, do some more research on the engine. The one bad side about not driving is that the battery charges off the alternator. There's also a solar panel on the roof, so that's charging it, but the battery is quite low already, and it's only charging off solar. So it's very fortunate that it's a sunny day today, because it's got 70 amp hours at the moment of 120. It started the day at like 30 or something, so thank you for solar, thank you for sun. See? There's always something going well, dude. There's always something going well. The single strangest thing just happened to me. I just turned on my computer and tried to connect to the Wi-Fi, and I'm connected to the Wi-Fi that I use at uni, EduRoam. How does that work? I'm literally 16-hour drive away from my uni, so I'm assuming it's like a shared thing with other unis. But I'm not near a uni. What the hell is happening? Tell me good things don't happen. I dare you. Bang! I've never done that before. That's what you came to see. Okay, just a little update to the situation. I still have no idea what's happening. I'm still waiting on a reply, and I'm still not sure. The only thing that I'm sure about, well, I'm not sure about anything. I'm sure that I'm at the campsite for tonight at the moment, and I'm sure that I don't really want to be doing any significant driving. So, the plan is kind of in the mud. But I'm thinking, as long as I'm still walking, still able to cycle around and whatnot, why not keep the trip alive? So I'll find something to do tomorrow. I know I haven't really done anything today, but is what it is. Needed the time to plan. Nice rest day, really. Haven't had a rest day this whole time. And from here, I'm not quite sure what will happen. It will just be a differently organised trip. And I'll have to look at what's going on around Rockhampton. Hopefully I get in touch with a mechanic of some sort. Hopefully the guy from this morning, actually, he was really nice. And see what their opinion is on what my best options are, because I don't just want to dive in and, do the wrong thing and regret it later. So we will see. But as far as I can tell, the journey's still alive. Revival starts tomorrow, don't worry. I just spent like half an hour chatting to another guy who's over here on the campsite, who was super nice. And he offered me and made me some tea, which I never drink tea, but that's my first hot drink of the entire road trip, and it was nice. I can't have milk, but sacrifices have to be made. And yeah, the reason he came over in the first place was because I was looking in the engine, kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and he came over and started chatting. So again, small miracles. Anyway, now it's time for some chess, I guess. Still not quite sure what I'm going to do tomorrow. Still trying to plan. I think the prospect of towing the car is getting more likely. Then it becomes a question of how do I get to where the car is going. Alright, this is the second game I played. The end game I feel like was pretty terrible, but in my defense I had like 20 seconds left the whole time. But anyway, I started with the English again. I'm trying to learn how to do the English. Standard c4, e5. Knight c3 I don't normally play. I normally play g3. But I don't know, I was feeling different. d5 captures. Standard development. Apparently that's an inaccuracy, but I just don't see that I would have played f4. I was just doing standard English development and hoping for the best. So yeah. Oh, that move I just wanted to take more of the center, and then, but I don't know, push his pawns off and hopefully push my pawn up. But yeah, I guess castles is just simpler and obviously better. There was a nice move somewhere near here, I think. Ooh. Maybe some bad moves. Oh yeah, this take order. I guess that queen takes there was important to not lose that pawn for me. So yeah. And then he just blundered his rook for no reason, and that was basically the turning point of the game. I kind of messed up the end game here with where I put my rook. I just couldn't figure out where I wanted the rook to be. I think putting it on that square made it more complex for me. But it worked anyway. Ooh. Yeah, I missed a lot there. But just this whole thing with trying to push this pawn, because all of the pawns were trapped, and I didn't know whether I could walk the king up. So I just kind of fumbled around until I could, push my pawn, which I did badly. But fortunately, they just moved the king to a bad spot, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. And then I promoted there, and I pre-moved the next move because I assumed that he wouldn't promote the pawn, promote the pawn, but he did. So I had already played that move pre-move, and then I was like, oh, well, I just threw for no reason. But fortunately, he lost on time anyway. After that check, which literally made it mate in 19 for him, which was also a pre-move. I just assumed that he'd go back and the check would make him lose on time. But yeah, not a good move. But I think that kind of sums up the level I'm at. And for some reason, chess.com thinks that was me playing like a 1200. I just don't understand the rankings at all. Like, I feel like the endgame was pretty bad, and it showed it as being pretty bad. Yet, that's 1200. But I guess maybe to a lot of people who are good at chess, 1200 is not the best. So, Anyway, I'm going to play a couple more games, but I don't think they'll be on camera unless they're incredible. So, I'm going to call it a night. Peace. Now for today's photo. I took 17 photos today. I was kind of preoccupied with something else, and that was the issues with the engine. And realistically, what else could the photo of today be of, if not that? Because that was the main focus of today. Although it was still a fun day either way. There's not really much more I can say than that. The car's treated me well so far, and issues are just part of the journey, I guess, so can't complain. Number 23, problems. And I'm going to rank this photo 10th.